All right, this meeting is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Trombetta to present the superintendent's report and to present some really special students who have tremendous art skills that has landed them some gold medals and trophies and whatnot. So,
Good evening, everyone. Before we begin and have the art students come in, I just want to thank Mr. Isernia. Right before the meeting, he donated books to the libraries in the district, 21 steps. I have it to read. Mr. Isernia does this every year for us, and we really appreciate it. And it's always based on a military story. So thank you again. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Ferran so she can introduce our talented art students.
Thank you for having me. My name is Amanda Ferran. I'm the art department chairperson. Tonight with me, I have 5 young artists who have excelled this year and won awards in various art shows and been accepted to various art shows on Long Island. So I'd like to first thank you for having us and for taking the time to recognize our young artists. First with me, I have Jacob Ein. Jacob was one of the 44 students who was selected to take part in the Heckscher Museum of Art Long Island's Best out of over 500 entrants. Jacob, if you could come up here. Next, we have Isabella Rodriguez. Isabella was the Sachem Public Library's inaugural Teen Artist in Residence. It's a program that they began for the first time this year. I've heard nothing but rave reviews about how delightful our students have been to work with. And I'd also like to mention how very supportive the public library has been of our art program from elementary all the way through high school. What they did was they chose Isabella this year to share her artistic talents with the community, advocate for the arts, and create a permanent work of art installed at the library. She created a stunning mural based on Long Island's natural environment, showcasing its unique ecosystems, wildlife, and plant life through her artistic vision. Isabella? Congratulations. Each year, Sachem is permitted to enter 20 students into the Bay Area Friends of the Fine Arts art show at the Gillette House in Sayville each year, called the BAFA show. We submit 20 students every year, and this year we absolutely swept the awards. We had 4 students win place ribbons. One of them was Kim Lee. She won first place in photography, Sachem North student. Kim? Congratulations. We also have Jazara Reyes, who won second place in the painting category. Congratulations. We have a young lady who's not with us this evening, but I'll make sure she gets her recognition and thank you on her behalf, who won second place in mixed media, Liliana Sorello. And finally, we have a student named Leah Ratto. She is a Sachem East senior, and we were absolutely blown away by the painting she submitted that won first place in the painting category. But additionally, she won all 4 specialty scholarship awards that they offer. They are the Olivia and Harlan Fisher Best in Show Award, the Jacqueline C. Palmer Award, the Bell Street Artist Scholarship, and the Women Sharing Art Scholarship. This is the first time in BAFA history that any student has taken every single award that there was to give. Congratulations, Leah. Thank you very much.
Try to sneak away.
Parents, you can come up. Parents, come up.
We have a very busy night tonight with a lot of new appointments, so I'm very excited about that. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it back over to Mr. Scavo so we can get to those appointments.
It brings us to item C, our student board member report. Michael, anything to report?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to say congratulations to the valedictorian Ibby Suleiman and the salutatorian Chris Vacaria. And congratulations to Aster Romanowski and Jay McNolan for being chosen for the Suffolk Zone Award. Now, for the 2025-2026 school year, the election videos must be uploaded by May 11th, and the ALS Ride for Life will be May 16th, and donors will take a walk from Sachem East to Sagamore to Chippewa, all with police escort.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, item D is approval of minutes and a motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd, 2025. Stephanie, second by Vinnie. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Allison, if you could just change the date in the minutes, it says 2024. Budget hearing, an motion to open up the budget hearing. It's our final discussion prior to the vote. Stephanie, second by Vinnie. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Michelle?
Okay, so this is the, as Mr. Scavo said, the final presentation before the budget vote, which is on May 20th. So this is our public hearing. So the 25-26 proposed budget is an expenditure budget of $380.9 million. That represents a budget-to-budget increase of $6.6 million or 1.77%. The proposed tax levy associated with that budget is $216.5 million. This represents a 2.20% increase from the current year. This levy is within the allowable tax levy formula, so we are not looking to pierce. This only requires a simple majority, which is 50% plus one to pass. Our proposed three-part expenditure budget, we are legally required during the budget hearing to present the budget in this format. It just breaks it up between administrative expenditures, program expenditures, and our capital expenditures. Administrative being our, obviously our administrators, our central office personnel, and our principals, safety and security, personnel data processing. Program expenditures are our teachers and everything related to our students. And then our capital is our facilities department and any of our capital projects. So we are required to present the budget in this three-part format. This is the budget as it has been presented all along throughout the process. So this is our expenditure budget by object, which just breaks down the expenditures into the main categories from the highest percentage of our budget down to the least. So you'll see that our salaries are at the top there. We have $178 million proposed for the 25-26 school year. Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say this presentation is on the website on our budget quick link, and it's also in board docs in the public section if anybody wants to see it.
And these are valedictorian and
Yeah.
salutatorians from East and North
Yes.
shown there.
So again, this is the budget by object, which is just by our largest expenditure categories. And as I was saying with the salaries, you can see that it is the largest portion of our budget, but it also only increased, as we've said throughout the process, by 1.89% over the current year, but it does represent almost 47% of our budget. Included in this budget is a transfer to capital line item. That is the capital work that we do each year. It is a $9 million transfer to capital, and these are the projects that we had identified for the upcoming 25-26 school year. There is some work that needs to be done at both of our pools. We have some piping work that needs to be done at North, and the electric service at Tecumseh. We do rent that out, but it is still our property, so we are still responsible for the maintenance of that building. Roof replacements district-wide, some hose bib, which is not just the hose bib, but there's piping that goes along with that. It's not $190,000 of just hose bibs. And then we've left about $1.2 million in potential other projects. That's to cover us in case bids come in higher than anticipated. We do have some money there to cover that. If bids do come in on target or lower than anticipated, then we can do some additional boiler work, unit vents, floors, restrooms, things like that. We do have that flexibility in the budget. And then we are looking to purchase 2 new large buses, and this would all stay within that $9 million transfer item. I've said it at many of the meetings. This $9 million is also included in our tax levy. If we were to remove the $9 million from the tax levy, we would also be removing it from the expenditure budget. So there would be no benefit. It would not help to close the gap that we were struggling with throughout the budget process.
A question about the new main service at Tecumseh. Are we replacing an old system, or are we upgrading it and increasing the size of it?
We are replacing the old system. We've blown the phases at that
Okay.
building, and I don't know what that means, but I know that we have blown the phases twice at Tecumseh where our guys had to be
And
over
that's
there
an
to
old, it's
repair
just
it.
an older system. That
It's an
we're
older
upgrading.
system, and we're going to be looking to make those upgrades district-wide.
Okay.
But we're starting where we identified the worst building first, and then we'll move along.
Great, thank you.
So our proposed revenue budget, as I indicated, property taxes are increasing at the 2.20%. That is within our tax levy. That's at the cap. State aid, that is still an estimated number because we do not have our adopted budget yet. So we do not have school aid runs, but we did factor in, to the best of our ability with the information that we have. So we feel pretty good about that state aid number. So that just shows we're looking to use in restricted reserves. We're looking to utilize some of our ERS reserve and our workers' compensation reserve, as well as appropriate fund balance of $11.9 million to help balance this budget for the $380 million. Projected property taxes, the 2.20% increase for the 3 towns, and I'm going to read it from here because I can't see that far away, to the average homeowner here in Sachem. If you were to live in the town of Brookhaven, we're estimating an annual increase in the school taxes of approximately $142 for the year. Town of Islip is approximately $160, and the town of Smithtown is approximately $148. Have to keep in mind that that is based on current information. The assessed values, the equalization rates, that information does not come out until around August or September. And that information is determined by the municipalities. That is not determined by the school district. Okay. Budget highlights. This 25-26 budget maintains all of our curricular programs at their current levels. It maintains our drama and music programs, maintains that transfer to capital, which is for the critical infrastructure needs of our buildings, and it maintains most of our athletic programs through general fund appropriation and the use of community donations. There is a Proposition 2 that will be on the ballot this year, and that is related to our transportation limits. So the Proposition 2 is to increase the distance to qualify for transportation. So if currently we have, if you are within, if you are greater than a half a mile from your school, you qualify for transportation K through 12. And at the K through 8 level, if you are within 15 miles, you qualify for transportation. At the 9 through 12 level, it's 25 miles. So we are looking to change those limits for K through 8. If you are within a mile of the school, you would not qualify for transportation, and we would keep that maximum of 15 miles. And for 9 through 12, it would be 1.5 miles to qualify. Greater than 1.5 miles, you would qualify for transportation. And then if you're within 15 miles, we're reducing that maximum amount from 25 down to 15 miles. So that is up for a community vote. That needs a simple majority to pass. If that proposition were to pass, we would recognize a savings of roughly $1,750,000 for the 25-26 school year. That would be a recurring savings by having those reduced limits.
Yeah. And Michelle, can you just comment that if it doesn't pass, what happens?
So if it doesn't pass, the limits would stay as they currently are.
Mhm.
And we have a balanced budget. So if it didn't pass, we've already covered those transportation expenditures. We balanced our budget with our revenues, our appropriated fund balance, and then using some of our reserves.
But we're using reserves to balance the budget at
We're using-
175. So next year, we're going to be another 1.75 in the hole, so to speak.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. And then with this, we're still offering more
Then
than
the
the state
limits.
requires. right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Any other questions on Prop 2? No? So what happens if the budget does not pass? The board has the option to either put the same budget up for a revote on the June 17th statewide revote date. They could put a revised budget up, or the board can elect to go directly to a contingency budget. If the budget is defeated for a second time, then the board is required to adopt a contingency budget. So what is a contingency budget? It is only those expenditures that operate and maintain the school buildings and the educational programs, preserve the property of the district, and ensure the health and safety of students. Does not include any purchases of new equipment, does not allow for the use of our buildings where there is no cost. We would have to charge any group that wants to use our buildings and cover that full cost. There would be no non-essential maintenance. We would not be able to do that $9 million of capital work that we're budgeting for the next school year. And then non-instructional, non-unionized employees would not receive any salary increases. And then the biggest item under a contingency budget is that the tax levy can be no greater than it is in the current year. So there would be a 0% increase in the tax levy. And as I indicated on the revenue slide, we're looking, staying within the cap. We were receiving $4.6 million in additional revenue. We wouldn't have that if we went to a contingency budget.
Questions from the board? That $4.6 million, we would have to find within the budget and cuts.
Correct.
Right? So if the budget fails twice, we could potentially be, seeing increased class sizes, reduction of activities and
And we'd be pulling out capital, and we'd be pulling out
capital
many things.
projects.
Correct. So next steps, the budget vote is May 20th at all of our operating elementary schools between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. So we encourage everybody to come out and vote. And then just as a reminder that as soon as this budget vote passes, we are going to begin those demographic studies. We have already contracted with a company through BOCES to begin that study for the closure of a building for the next school year.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you. Okay, any motion to close the budget hearing? Okay, Vinnie, second by Stephanie. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Brings us to item 3, visitors. We've 3 visitors tonight. I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. Jessica Avalos? Did I get it right?
Is this on? Am I good?
Yep.
Okay. What? Yeah, it's good. Okay. Good evening, board. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that the board prioritize a closer review of the UPK lottery procedures. As a community, we need greater transparency in this process. Right now, that transparency is severely lacking. To give you some context, according to current policy, once the lottery closes, which this year was February 28th, 2025 at 3 p.m., the list of applicants is sent to an external agency to randomize and then return to the district. Families whose children are selected are supposed to receive a packet by mail with registration details. However, this year, those packets did not arrive until today, May 7th, or like myself, a letter saying that we were put on a wait list. That's a delay of 43 school days from the close of the lottery to the time families were notified. Why is this process not live or visible to families in real time? Why aren't results posted promptly so parents can plan accordingly? This delay left many families scrambling in May to find pre-K placements when many programs are already full. And based on what we're hearing in the community, it seems more families were not selected than were. This raises important questions. Who oversees the process from start to finish to ensure it's fair? What safeguards are in place to prevent changes or tampering after the list is randomized? How can this process be made more efficient and transparent for future families? I urge the board to take a serious look at how the UPK lottery is run and to consider solutions that provide clarity, fairness, and timely communications to all families involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask Andy just to talk about that a little bit? You and I had a conversation about UPK earlier. If maybe you could just talk a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So my office oversees UPK. We use an outside agency to randomize the lottery that we have zero control over, zero knowledge of the results. The results come back to us. The delay in selecting families that would successfully be a part of our UPK program is contingent upon our staffing and our room availability in our buildings. So we used the same system we did last year. Released the same number of initial acceptances as last year. And if you look back to last year, we do that in 2 waves. About 2/3 to 3/4 of the people that would be accepted based on our projections get notified as soon as we can. And honestly, I was doing elementary staffing this morning. So we're just about there where we should be able to lock in the rest of our UPK acceptances. Those letters go out immediately as soon as we can get that information. And then I understand that the timeliness of it is impacting families with finding a placement for September. And we've discussed this before where some agencies ask for a deposit way in advance to hold their child's spot. Some of it's refundable, some agencies it's not. We do our best to get that out as fast as possible, but we can't release acceptance letters until we're absolutely positive that we have the room for those students.
Is there a way that we can request? It's Colin Antonowski, right? That it's our outside auditor. So are we able to ask them to live stream it or do it here in the boardroom that people could show up if they want in the future, so that people feel like there is a little transparency on how it's done?
I can absolutely look into that. That unfortunately, that the lottery only shows what number you're at. It doesn't show whether you're going to be accepted and where our threshold is for how many we're going to accept each year. So yes, you'll know your number, but you won't know what number we're going to get to. So let's just say last year we had 360 students that were accepted into the program. We could have, 550 applicants. You would know your number, but we don't know if we're going to get to 360 each year. It all depends on our incoming kindergarten, the number of classrooms we're using, and the number of buildings we're operating.
It's all computerized, so it's not like pulling.
And is that the number similar this year? 360 students were able to accommodate this year? We don't know.
No, that was the total number for this current year. For the lottery this year, we don't release up to what we think we're going to get to initially, just to make sure that we have the room. But looking at our numbers right now, we're going to be somewhere in the ballpark of that. I can't guarantee that we'll be at 360, but we'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of that.
And how many applicants did we get?
Over 500.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Susan Lauber. Evening. How are you?
Lauber. I come to you as a Sachem graduate. I also started my teaching career in Sachem, a community member and a parent of 2 children that attend Sachem, as well as an administrator for over 25 years. I understand the pressure that the board is under. I understand the difficult decisions you have to make. And I do applaud you and thank you all for your service. With that being said, I just have a request as we move forward and down the road when we have additional budgets to vote on, specifically regarding the transportation proposal. We are being asked as a community to vote on this transportation proposal or the possibility of closing a school, which was on the agenda. And the personal effects for me for the transportation proposal are tremendous. It leads me to find new childcare that I've had for 4 or 5 years. It leads me to look at the hours I'm working or my husband is working. It leads me to allow the extra time in our busy schedules already for pickup and drop off. So as a community member, not just me, but others, it affects us tremendously. The community and we have questions about it and had questions about it. I would have liked to know what drop off and pickup would have looked like at every building and every school. For example, Waverly Elementary already has a line of cars down Waverly Avenue. They dismiss out the side door facing Waverly Avenue. You have 6-year-olds beelining it down that hill to the car to the parent on an extremely busy roadway. What is that line going to look like now? What is drop off and pickup going to look like now? I would like to have that information before I would have voted on a proposal. We all know how backed up Smith and Senecal Road get over at Sachem North, right? What is that going to look like now? How are we going to control that traffic to get students on time for school? I want to know that before I vote on a proposal. I want to know what crossing guards. I understand you're not in control of crossing guards. The district does not hire crossing guards. I understand how that process works. But how are 15 and 16-year-olds going to cross 5 corners? How are students going to cross the railroad tracks? How are students walking along the LIE service road without us knowing how the board can ensure my child's safety? But I'm being asked to vote on a transportation proposal without knowing any of that information. So my main point is, going forward, when we have big proposals proposed to us as a community member, can we do the research prior to proposing it? Give me these answers. Give the community these answers so that we can make an educated decision on what we're voting for. I would like the board
Ma'am,
to
you're approaching
empower
3
us.
minutes.
Empower us to make an educated decision. And I urge that for the board members, because right now, without having those answers, I will be a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Loeb. Marie Sanders?
Hello. Hi, everybody. I want to start by saying this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And I'd like to take a minute to, on behalf of the PTA and many of the parents and community members, to thank our teachers for inspiring our children. A great teacher doesn't just teach, right? A great teacher teaches students how to learn and makes them want to learn. And Sachem is very, very blessed to have some extraordinary teachers. So publicly, we just want to say thank you. I'd also like to invite the community Saturday. We have an amazing community celebration at Samoset. It is from 12 to 4 p.m. It's going to be a great celebration. There's going to be performances and there's an art contest. There is going to be some food tasting, resources, a whole bunch of stuff. So please, 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 and all of you, of course, come out. And finally, next Wednesday at 7 p.m., PTA is hosting a Meet the Candidates Forum. We have confirmation from 7 out of our 8 candidates. It's a great opportunity for the community to come out. They can submit questions and kind of get to know our candidates a little better. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marie.
I also want to give a shout out to the nurses. It's Nurses Appreciation Day as well. So thank you to all the teachers and the nurses.
Allison, any other visitors? Okay, brings us to our agenda. We have item 4. We have business items, consent agenda A through E. Any motion, please? Okay, Mike Esternia, second. I'm Matthew Bauman. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 5, we have a personnel consent agenda A through V for teachers. Any motion, please? Okay, Stephanie, second by Mike Esternia. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Ms. Capeline?
This evening, the board approved the retirement of 17 of our teachers in a myriad of positions, as well as 7 teacher assistants who will be retiring as of July 1st. That's a wealth of human capital and history and people and, you know, the Sachem family. And we are going to recognize them later in June to kind of have a more significant send-off for them and recognize how they've made an impact in the lives of our children and our Sachem family. So we'd like to congratulate them on their retirement and speak with them later. Also, this evening, I think at least 2 out of the 3 probationary teachers we just hired for the upcoming school year. I'm just going to call your name if you are here. We're hiring for next year already. We have Mr. William Campbell. We have Brianna Feeney, and we have Cassidy Mullins. We'd like to congratulate you. Welcome to the Sachem family. We'll be having you join us at a new teacher orientation at the end of August. Also, another very exciting recognition this evening. To the far right in the rear, we have an elementary teacher, Caroline Foray, who's joining us today because we have just had the board approve her for tenure. So congratulations. And if you wouldn't mind, Caroline, come on up so we can give you a pen.
Yeah, we can take a picture. Yeah, take a picture.
Maybe a couple more for you, buddy.
Okay, item 6 is the consent agenda A through L for personnel. Any motion, please? Mike Attorney, Vinnie Reynolds, second. Okay, questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Ms. Capeline?
Also, this evening, we're just going to take a moment to recognize that there were 9 of our non-instructional employees who have been approved to retire, as of July 1st. This is also a myriad of positions such as nurses, special education aides, kindergarten aides, auto mechanics, as well as school communication aides. So we'd like to thank them for all of their dedication to make sure to support our students, our community, and our families. And we will once again recognize them in June for another agenda on their happy retirement. Congratulations.
Item 7, we have a consent agenda A through G for personnel administrators. Any motion, please? Matthew Bauman, second by Alex Picarillo. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
It's an exciting agenda for personnel today. In the audience today, we have the probationary appointment of 3 individuals within the district who have been working for us for many years, as well as an additional administrator who is changing her role. And then an additional staff member that I'm going to get to in a moment. We'd like to recognize Ms. Beth Caruana. She has been a school psychologist in the district for many years and a specialty in ABA. She has held numerous roles in the special education administration over the years, and she has just been board approved as the executive director effective tomorrow. So congratulations. Joining her as of July 1st are a team of administrators. We have Ashley Shepard, who has been working with us over the last year in the special education office as an administrator. She's been elevated into a new position to be a right or a left hand in the elementary area for special education. We also have Jennifer Croft, who's with us today. She is one of our special education teachers who also is an ABA specialist. She's around the district supporting building principals, families, and students in the unique needs that we need to support our students in the special education population. We'd like to thank her for her service in the teaching education as she transitions over to administration. Congratulations to you both. In the audience today, we have Ms. Colleen Flanagan. She worked for us for many years as a social worker before going into the role as an administrator as a assistant principal at numerous secondary buildings. She is also taking her craft and her social worker experience and administrative experience to support the team in administration in the special education office. Congratulations to you, Colleen Flanagan. And then last but certainly not least, some of you who have gone through the ranks of Winona Elementary School or in our High School East or Samoset Middle School may have had the privilege and opportunity to meet Dr. Desmond in his leadership positions over the year. We are very grateful and happy to have Mr. Dr. Desmond join us as an executive director for personnel as of July 1st. Congratulations to you all. If you could come on up for a picture.
I should have asked you a question.
Mr. Scavo, I think we need to have Mrs. Capeline will need to send a letter to Ford's Garage to redesignate the patty melt from the Dr. Tom Desmond patty over to the.
All right. All right. Item 8 is contracts. We have consent agenda A through Q. Any motion, please? Okay, Mike Cerny, second by Vinnie Reynolds. Questions and discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 9, we have several budget transfers of $50,000 or greater. It's consent agenda A through E. I need a motion, please. Matthew Bauman, second. Mike Cerny, questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 10 is approval of our election workers for a budget vote. I need a motion, please. Stephanie, second by Vinnie. Questions or discussions? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 11, we have a consent agenda A through B for the Committee on Special Education. A motion, please. Matthew Bauman, second Stephanie Volpe. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Brings us to item 12, which is our monthly reports. Okay, any groups or board members need to report? Nothing? Okay. Closing comments. We have one visitor for closing comments. Freda Petrozzini.
Sorry, I didn't know what I had to do.
That's okay. That's okay.
My name is Frida Petrozzini. I reside in Holbrook. I've lived here since 1993. Senior citizen, no children, but been paying my school taxes, and now I'm enjoying the exemptions and rebates, star rebates, and all those. I've noticed, though, that the school discount is becoming less and less and less. Like first it was 50%, then it was 45, then it was 40, now it's down to 25. So I called the town to ask them for an explanation. They told me it's the district that set the amount when you're calculating your taxes, your income. Now the state has an income cap of, I believe, $58,400. Most of the districts within Suffolk County have agreed to raise that. So in other words, if you're earning income, you got to hit that 58.4, or below, and then you'll be good. But Sachem, which I live in, Sachem, their school cap is $37,400. I said, well, why is that? They go, well, we can't say, you have to know Sachem is the one who decides that. So I'm just wondering, is there a reason why you didn't go along with, I mean, there were maybe a couple of other districts that are doing it, but the majority of the people, I understand, like Blueport, Bayport, whatever, they went up to the state. The state cap was 58.4, and yet Sachem's staying at 37.4. Can somebody help me understand why it wouldn't have been, or how do you go about getting it lifted to match the state?
Just, we don't normally go back and forth, but I will say that we will look into it and certainly get back to you. I'm not aware of this. This is not, I don't think any of the board is aware of. The ability to raise a cap has never been presented to us. Certainly, we always try to help out our senior citizens. Just recently, last year, there was a proposal from the county, okay, and the townships, both Islip, Smithtown, and Brookhaven, to actually include 401ks and 403bs pensions as part of your salary. And we were one of the only districts that rejected it. So, that impact would have caused many of our seniors to have to pay a lot more in taxes. But what you're presenting to us, we're not familiar with it, but we certainly will look into it and find out the details behind that.
Right, but there are some seniors that aren't making an extreme amount of money with, that they're paying more because they earn more over.
Yeah.
I'm talking, you're talking between 37.4 and 58.4.
Yeah. No, certainly we will look into it. Like I said, it's not.
That's like $20,000, right? I mean, that might not be a lot to some seniors that have, couples of joint. I mean, me being alone and having paid into the system, never complaining, no children, but I figured my nieces and nephews, they got an education, so I'm grateful for that. I just don't understand why. You might look into what the caps are. It's a formula you have to fill out in order to get any kind of rebate or exemption. You need to fill an application, of course, and then you have to list everything down. And then the reason why I keep getting less and less, all right, first it was half, and now it's down to like 25, so it's half and half. So why? I don't know.
We can look into it.
And
We
you could let
absolutely
me
will.
know by when, or how can I find out, like, what your response
Our business
is?
office. Yeah, we have your number, and then our business.
You have my email. I don't give out my personal number. You have an email?
Do you want to give
You-
your number?
FANDVP. Okay, and you were?
Assistant Superintendent for Business. She handles all of that stuff.
Okay. I do appreciate your time, and thank you very much. I'm
Did you want
fortunate
to? Did you want a phone call or did you want email?
An email in writing, because I don't know when I'm home, and I'm
Okay.
a caregiver for sick people. Oh,
Okay,
forget
great.
it. A
All
lot
right,
of
no
things
problem.
going on, so email when I get to it, I'll be able to, review it. I appreciate your time. I hope you'll be able to raise that limit Same way
We're
we want
gonna
the
look
salt
into it.
deductions to go from that 10
I
grand
know.
to at least 25 grand.
Yeah.
Right? Every penny helps. I
Thank-
appreciate
thank
the
you.
time.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Rob.
Yeah,
Can I just say that sometimes the town is wrong also? We've had this issue with,
Sometimes.
they give information and blame the district when it wasn't a district process. So we'll find that out as well. It might not be set by us.
Yeah.
And that might be misinformation you were given. We'll find out for sure because it impacts all of us eventually anyway too. So
Well, if that's the case, then you think they made a mistake. I would just like to know why.
Absolutely.
I retired when I was 62. I'm 72 now. How come it went from 50, 45,
Absolutely.
40 down, now it's 25? It's like now I had to pay the
Sure.
federal, I had to pay the state, and I never did.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We'll definitely look into it and somebody will get back to you. Thank you. Okay, old business. There's no old business listed on the agenda. Board discussion items. We just have one group that's going to come up and just kind of just pitch an idea to us. The board has been charged by a budget advisory committee by different folks in the community. We get emails all the times about looking at alternative revenue sources, things that that are new. Everything from advertising and use of public school property and things like that. But we have an organization here from a corporation, I should say, from Elite Towers. I'm just going to invite Rich and Tanya up to the podium just to kind of pitch the idea or kind of give us an insight as to how their proposal can actually help Sachem School District. And then what we'll end up doing is, being that this was not on the formal agenda, we'll actually put it on the agenda so community members can come out and ask questions. And you could do a full presentation. All right, so.
Good evening. My name's Tanya, and again with Elite Towers. Thank you very much for the few minutes that we have here today. Just want to be able to propose and bring to you an alternative to bringing revenue to the district, similarly to what we've done at ESM. We deal with wireless telecommunications facilities, and it could be existing structures or proposed structures. So in order for us to provide those details, we would love to be able to provide a proposal, a more detailed proposal, but essentially we have one that is at ESM. It's something that we can provide as an example. This way that you're able to generate some questions, I'm sure comments from the public as well. But again, it's just another avenue for revenue for the district, which we have been successful in providing for another district.
Okay, just kind of real quick, I know that I saw some information. You're proposing potential towers within the school property.
That's correct.
And then us actually acquiring rental income.
Correct.
That
Passive
rental income could be
from the tower.
significant to our budget and help us.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So is the board okay with bringing Elite Towers? Sorry, Vinny.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's cell phone towers, right? So we're using the word towers, and that's what you're proposing, or
yes, there
communication towers?
Communication towers, and so it's not only cellular, it can be also for emergency service provider, like the police, fire, EMS. So it's not limited to just carriers.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. If the board is okay, we can invite you back as early as the next meeting.
No, the first one in June, so the budget vote.
First meeting in June.
Okay.
Usually the first Wednesday of the month. And then we could have you come back and actually do the full presentation.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be some community members that might have questions.
Sure.
Certainly we can entertain questions from the community at that time.
Okay.
So, Ms. Reynolds?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
June 4th.
June 4th?
Yeah, that's our next meeting, and that's the first meeting in June.
Not an issue.
Right.
I appreciate the time. Thank you very much,
Great,
everyone.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Future discussion items from board members? Sabrina, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no.
Stephanie?
I had one of the commenters brought up, could we go back and get data from 1998 prior to when we did when the bus resolution was voted in? Because we have more students then, we had more walkers then. Was there a way to look back? I know it's really far, it's like 27 years, but could we look back and see how things were managed back then? Because it's the same issue.
You're talking
with the
prior to
walkers.
changing it
I
to-
know,
to
but
what
is
we
there an
have now?
idea? No. We could at least get enrollment, enrollment data to see how many kids were impacted. Just like, to give,
I
You
don't know
wouldn't have that?
that it exists. I mean,
All
as
right.
far as enrollment data, we can tell you how many students we had going back the last
I would
30 or
assume
40 years.
we had more
Yeah,
back
I'm
then,
sure
because
we
that's
did.
right
Yes.
before all the expansions were done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just, I mean, if we can't access it, I know it was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But it did get me.
I mean,
Eh,
my
eh,
only concern, Rob, would be is that it was managed so poorly that we decided to lower the limits. So I wouldn't want to look at that as a model of how we would want to do things. If anything, it would be the complete opposite of how whatever they did before and go from there.
Not necessarily, but it could show how many kids were
Well,
impacted then compared to now, and maybe the reason there were so many children, we
I
lowered it
understand, but if
because
it was a model that worked, it would have never been talked about.
we don't know why people voted for it.
Well, I could tell you why.
But
Yeah. All right. So
We usually don't change things at work.
we could look at maybe enrollment data. I don't know what we can gather from it. It's definitely a lot more students.
if it's similar, then it's a non-issue. If there were more students, then we would have voted because it impacted more students.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it could have been that. I don't know. It's just, there had to be a safety issue either then or now, or were they similar? That's the whole thing, because obviously technology's changed.
Yeah.
So we would be a little bit more safe now.
We could see if we could dig back and see if we could find some information. Stuff. Any other future
Well,
discussion? Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just on that. I'm not for that. I don't want to put anybody out on a wild goose chase. As far as technology goes, if anything, it's worse. You've now put cell phones in people's hands that drive cars, and it's by far more dangerous on the roads than it's ever been. I think that is a waste of our time, a waste of our administration's time. Respectfully, Stephanie, I'm against this proposal from the beginning, but I just don't think that we have other things that we have to worry about. To be digging back into files that are probably burned or have asbestos
They're
on
not
them, I'd
digging
be
back through
concerned.
files, though. They're giving enrollment data.
Yeah, I'm
They
not-
said the files weren't available. So
Yeah,
there's
hold
no
on a second.
reason
Somebody
to
to
keep
the other ones.
going on this.
No, all I'm
She
saying
gave
is,
an answer.
if you say you want something, I'm against it. If everybody else is for it, then do it. If anyone else is not for it, then we shouldn't be
That's
doing it.
fine, but it's only
Yeah.
enrollment data.
We don't usually, we're not asking administration to go back and do a full report. And you're right, we have a lot of stuff going on right now. But if there's any data that's available, if we can gather any information as to why it was changed. I mean, there's still board members that live in our community that were on the school board back then, but might be able to shed some light as to why it was changed. I don't know why it was changed.
Growing up in this community, I had to do what we're proposing as a student.
Yeah.
So I want to know, was it unsafe? If
Yeah.
we have that information.
If we have the information.
But if we
certainly provide
don't,
it.
enrollment data would help, because we would then be able to see it was put in place because there were so many more students impacted. That's all I was asking. If there was any data, we had a community member here asking for transparency. If we can give that transparency, I'm all for it.
No, we're not taking it off the ballot. Listen, just a request was made by a board member. We do this all the time. Information that's requested, you've requested information, we've provided for you. I mean, if we want to take a lean at it, well, we could, but
Sure.
But I don't think it's going to require administration to do a lot of digging. That's all.
I just don't want to give bad information. If we can't change it, it's too late. It's already on the ballot. And number two, we shouldn't say that it's safer now. It's far more dangerous on the roads. Every Newsday article for the last 3 weeks has talked about how dangerous the roads are on Long Island.
Mhm.
And I'm not a subscriber, but I do see what they post daily, and it's all about dangerous roads.
If it's too much to do, I will look up enrollment data myself
If it's
through
too much to
Google.
do, we'll let you know.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, any other, Meredith?
Michelle, I just wanted to know where we were at, because we all know that the lines are already very long, but a lot of those children are entitled to buses and their parents choose to drive them anyway. So we were going to get data on how many kids who are currently supposed to get a bus are being driven or go to before or after care.
So we had provided the data that by shifting these transportation limits, I believe it was roughly 2,800 additional students would be considered the walkers. But we had also done, for the first week of March, we did a head count on all of our bus routes for a week. And at the end of the week, when we tallied everything, we saw that of the students that were eligible for transportation, only about 60% of them were riding the bus for that week, both morning and afternoon. And so that was a difference of about 4,000 students eligible for transportation that were not utilizing it.
So then it would be probably fair to say that our lines wouldn't get all that much longer. on drop off and pick up,
Because
and
many of those,
because many of them
cars
are already being
already-
dropped off and picked up, even though they are entitled to the bus, which is kind of why we were proposing this in the first place.
Guys, this is a future discussion item. I don't want to have a whole discussion on transportation. I mean, I think that we've had that already, but certainly like right now, it's in the hands of of the community. And either they're going to vote yes or no. And at that particular point, as a board, we have to adapt. That's what it comes down to. Make the best scenario situation of the scenario of the situation. So, Mr. Cerny?
This is not transportation related. I'm just, but Michelle, right now, we still don't have a state budget approved. We don't have state aid runs. So what I would ask for you is if, when this finally does get passed, hopefully before we actually vote on our budget, if that $690,000 is not there, if it's less than, you'll need to present us with something because you have an expenditure that wouldn't be accounted for then, right? So let's say that 690,000 ends up being 500,000.
Yeah.
Now-
Our revenue side of the budget and our expenditure budget
Right.
would be off.
Right.
It would have been balanced.
well, when the budget is adopted, we adopt a number, that $380.9 million. So if the state aid figures were to come in lower and our budget has already passed, are you asking if our budget has already been voted on and passed by the
Well,
community?
let's say it hasn't.
We wouldn't necessarily, the budget is an estimate. So that is our best estimate at that time. So we wouldn't be going back and adopting a new revised figure. We would be working within that $380.9 million. And then as we work through the year, Mr. Sachs and I would cut off purchasing. We would look to where we would make up that money within the scope of what the budget we have adopted.
So it would result in some cut somewhere if it's, or the opposite if it's more money.
Correct.
Action items? Just, I'm sorry, again. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
No, I just want to piggyback on what Mike said. It just shows the absurdity of what we're dealing with the state, is that we are forced to make a budget. And I know there's a lot of talk about us not being proactive, but when it comes to budgeting, at least, it's almost impossible when they're still fighting 5 weeks later with budget extenders. We're not able to do a budget extender. We're not able to say, oh, we'll just kick the can down the road until they're done. We have to make ours, and we're hoping and guessing that they give us what they said they are, and we're hoping and guessing that they give us more. But if they don't give us more and they give us less, there is no way to plan for that.
Mhm.
There is really no, other than taking money out of reserves, which is why the reserves are there, which is why we can't spend them all every year, to Mike's point that he was making during, budget discussions. So it's just frustrating to deal with the state like this. And for the 8 people that are running, I know that everybody wants to be proactive, but it's once you're sitting here, you hit a wall with the state where they're fighting over things like the school budget aid should be the first thing, and it should be out of the way. And then they could fight about the rest of the stuff. That would make the most sense, but they use it as bargaining chips to get other things that they want. And it's a sad state of affairs that public school education is not put first and foremost and put at the top of the priority list. So I'm just as frustrated with Mike and this whole process, but no, Mike is one of my favorites. So yeah, as Mike. So
Yeah.
I just to piggyback on what Mike said.
Yeah, and to Alex's point, this is becoming the norm. They were late last year. We were anticipating safe harmless money that we were expecting to get, and we didn't get that money. So once again, we had to adapt, okay, to what we didn't get, and we had to cut back certain things. But many times people say this, you need to come up with a 5-year plan. You have to have a 5-year plan. We had a 5-year plan for many, many years, and our 5-year plan resulted in budgets well below 2% every year, and well below 1% sometimes. But the thing is, you can't have a 5-year plan because back then you were guaranteed almost $4 million, $5 million a year. You can count on it. It was almost like clockwork. Now we don't know what we're getting. We don't know if we're getting 6 million or 600,000. And that's the problem, is it's impossible to have a 5-year plan, maybe a 2-year plan, but the state it's too all over the place. It's like a roller coaster. So that's the frustrations that we have.
But don't worry, everyone's going to get a check for $300 from the state. That'll cover it.
Yeah. Ms. Isernia?
One more future discussion item. I think we'll need to ask the administration to keep an eye on Albany's final resolution on cell phones in school and what we plan to do with those. So after we know what that budget says, perhaps you can give us an update on what we do, because I think what we do is probably fine for us, but I don't know if that would be in compliance. So we'll have to do that.
And just
Right now, what we're doing would not be in compliance at the high school. She's saying bell to bell, but within her proposal, she's also saying that there can't be consequences to that mandate. So we're not sure. We're all kind of waiting.
Okay,
for how
let's just put it on the radar.
Mike, they're building the plane while it's in the air.
Right. The plane is in the air. We'll build it as we go. So,
my request is that I'd like for the board to get an update on NG performance contract, where we're at with that. So we have an understanding as to whether or not we're going to go through with it. We're not going to go through it. Yeah, not right now. Future discussion item. Yeah. So we have an understanding as to what we're doing with that. Yeah. Maybe in the next meeting if we could have an update.
So while we're asking for updates, how are we doing with Union Avenue? Did we shut the power off, and is that building ready to be demolished?
So the power has been disconnected. We're waiting for PSE&G to remove the transformer. We have to pay them for that first. So we did issue that check. It was mailed on Monday. So we're hoping, if not this week, sometime next week, that transformer will be removed, and then we can begin with the demo of the building.
What are the future discussion items? Meredith? Okay.
Just a comment. Mother's Day is on Sunday, so mom, maker of magic, I want to wish all the fellow moms out there, the makers of magic, a very happy Mother's Day, especially to all my fellow board members and admins, and anybody who's a mom in any way. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah. Okay. We have a motion to go into exec session to discuss personnel, staff members made known to the board, as well as suspension appeals that we need to hear tonight. Stephanie? Okay. Motion second. Mike, I see any questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Have a good evening, everyone. And happy Mother's Day.